Darlings, I received the following message from YouTube user ATC Forever and Always, who says, "Dear Lord Thronduil, I just watched this video and I was wondering if you could do a video with your opinion about something that is really important to me and also really breaks my heart and makes me cry as I lost my dog last year to cancer, and I just can't figure out how people could possibly be able to purposefully kill these amazing creatures in the most cruel ways possible. It's called the Yulin Meat Festival. I would really appreciate a video about this. Thank you in advance and have a nice glass of wine." Well, I do have a nice glass of wine on hand. Now, for those of you that maybe aren't aware, and I had to do some research to find out more about this, the Yulin Meat Festival, it's a celebration of the summer solstice. It's actually the lychee and dog meat festival, and I'd like to say in my research what I sort of found, and you know, I did it on the internet, so who knows just how correct or not it is, but several different sites seem to point to the same thing, which is that meat, specifically dog meat consumption in China, has over 400-year-old tradition. And that the consuming of it is supposed to help to ward off heat, which makes sense with the summer solstice part of the festival. Now, if you look at sort of the things put out by people running the festival, they claim that the dogs are all killed very humanely. But then other sites talk about and show some very graphic pictures of sort of the very opposite being true. Now, it's hard to tell because a lot of the activists that I've seen, I've also heard sort of murky things about them using images that aren't necessarily from the right year or things like that, so that there could be exaggerations on that part. But you also have to think about the fact that the festival has an invested interest, of course, in making their festival seem humane and to get people to go. So, you know, it's hard to really tell exactly where the truth lies. I'm sure it's somewhere in the middle. Now, according to a number of, let's see, Wikipedia, it is a 10-day festival and 10 to 15,000 dogs are consumed. I can't really say that eating dog is... Well, I've never eaten dog. Let me just put that out there right now. But I find it difficult to judge a culture or a cultural belief of which I have no real context personally from. And I just, you know, it's a very long-standing tradition. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I don't feel that I have the place to judge. That said, I personally would not ever attend such a festival. It's not something I ever have an interest in. I have no interest in eating dog meat. And I've seen video before this message was sent to me many years ago, so I'm not sure how true it is. It was about the meat industry in one particular region of China. This is probably about 15 years ago or maybe more. But it did show some very cruel things that at least that area of the meat industry did in the preparation of both dog and cat meat, which was quite traumatizing, and I'm not going to go into detail because I think a lot of people are very sensitive to that sort of thing. So I'm not going to share any details. If you really are interested in looking that up, I'm sure you can find that quite easily with a couple of searches. There was a part of Korea that I visited for a festival, not any kind of festival like this. It was very different. That was famous for the dogs, and almost everyone that had a home there had these dogs as pets, but that dog was also famous as a local delicacy. So I think some of it also has to do with just sort of how we view the role of animals or particular animals in our society culturally. And I really can't judge another person's culture and thousands of years worth of cultural history. That's not my place to do. Um, I don't condone that sort of behavior, but I also can't tell someone that they can't believe what they believe. And I think even if you could do that, something with such a long tradition like that, people aren't going to sort of be able to change that overnight. That type of thinking is so ingrained in the society that it takes more than even a single generation often in order to sort of move past that, for better or worse. So, um, I can understand why that would break your heart, darling. I think um, watching any animal suffer, and it's part of why I've given up several different types of foods. Um, I'll eat them if I have to, but I would never purchase on my own. Um, just because the only way to sort of prepare the meat and have it be tender, um, or have any taste whatsoever is to through very cruel practices and sometimes just in general cruel things. Um, so I honestly don't eat all that much meat these days anyhow. Um, More right now than I did before coming to Asia, of course. Um, but but no, I was basically a pescatarian, which means you only eat fish and the rest is vegetarian, similar, for many many years. So and part of that was a result of sort of some of the crueler practices of the meat industry. But for me, also a large part of it is the environmental impact, because a lot of even Western meat industry is very terrible for the environment, and um, you know, I often will buy chicken still, because chicken has sort of the least amount of impact if you're looking at things like carbon emissions and pollution and that sort of thing, um, as far as meat goes. And so if I do meat, I tend to stick with chicken. I don't go for red meat, even though there's many very delicious red meats, but I sort of keep that as a special occasion sort of thing instead of going for it every time. Um, So yes, I got completely sidetracked, and I don't really want to throw any accusations one way or another. So I'm just going to sort of stop there because I really don't know enough to really talk about the subject with any proficiency. So I hope that bringing up this subject at least um, was enough for you, darling, and I am sorry for the loss of your pet. Um, I've lost many myself, and it can be very painful. So I hope if any of you out there have opinions or first-hand experience with this or similar things, by all means, please leave comments below and feel free to open a discussion. I'd love to hear what you all have to say about it. So, till next time, darlings. Ta-ta.